Hello everyone, it's Natalie Matthews and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're having a great day. But before I get into it, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that post notification bell so that you never miss a new video. I just felt like filming this video. I didn't have it planned. First things first, I'm going to light a candle. Put it there. But here she is. They're currently sold out, but shop Natalie Candles Co. in the future to purchase. Let me start with What I Like About You. This is a book I have not read yet. I started it, but I could not get into it. I'm 70 pages in. And next we have Most Likely. I did like this book. It's a good book. So I'll elaborate more on books that I really like or would recommend. Next we have Together Apart. I loved this book. It's a bunch of little stories from the pandemic about people finding love. Basically, the moral of the story is that love always finds a way, even in a national pandemic. Next up, this is a whole book series. That's why I'm holding it like this. This is the To All the Boys I Loved Before book series. This book series is so good. I recommend it to so many people. So next we have The Library of Lost Things. I did a book report on this. Next is a test that I took. Strengths Finder. I have not read this. It's Clinton Strengths. Just Ella. This is a really good book. It's kind of fairy tale style, but with like kind of a modern, a little bit more dark twist. And I don't read anything scary. Next we have Speak. These are all fake books. Okay, next we have a book that's really good. It's called Ugly. I haven't read it in a while, so I'm trying to remember what happened. Then I have a vintage copy of Christmas Carol. It's very old. It's basically falling apart. Oh, next this is a journal that I'll show it to you guys because I got this at Harrods. I just went through this journal. It was cute. This was from, I got this journal right before quarantine started. Then we have The Word That Saved My Life. I love this book. It is so good. This book I tried to read. I just didn't get that into it. You Are the Girl for the Job. I want to read this so bad. I'm gonna do it once I finish my next book. I've been reading one book for personal, one book for school. I just finished my one for school, started my one for personal. Then next we have Get Out of Your Head. I want to read this one as well. I'm an overthinker, so this is probably a good message for me. And what I was going to say, this is my current book that I'm reading, and it's basically about building a network of solid people in your life. You might not know about this, but my family, we like to play Dungeons and Dragons together. But this is just a book about different things. And I have a whole collective thing of learning Shakespeare. I actually loaned this to my teacher for a while, and she read it during quarantine. And then this is the book that I just finished reading for school. It's admissions, about the college admission scandal. It was really good. I actually really enjoyed this book. Then we have this book, On Course, Strategies for Creating Success in College and Life. I have not read this, but probably should. Last book is part of a series, and it will always have summer. I'm currently lending the other two books to Addie. So I do have the other two. I loved this series. Could not stop reading it. We're moving down here, starting with this Jane Austen novel. I've read through a lot of Jane Austen. Don't really understand a ton of it, but I have read it. Next, I have 3 Reader's Digest books, but for the initials of everyone in my family. Next is You Say It First. I read this book. It's very good. It's not like the best book I've ever read. Also, if I were to make a book, this is what the cover would look like. Next, we have Love and Gelato, The Magnolia Story. Such a good book. I love this book. I read it during quarantine. There's actually a note from my dad to my mom in this book, which I think is cute because it used to belong to my mother. Next, we have Tell Me 3 Things, which is actually same author as Admissions, the book that I just finished reading yesterday. When I tell you this is the best book ever, this had me staying up until midnight. I loved it. This is what got me back into reading. This book, I think I need to get more by this author because I've loved all of her books that I've read. Next, we have another amazing book that I've read so many times. Rachel Hollis is motivational speaker, really cool person. Girl, stop apologizing. I need to reread this again. I mean, it seems like I'm over exaggerating. I'm not. I love it. Next we have You Majored in What? I was getting a lot of stress trying to decide what courses I wanted to take and just what I wanted to do with my life. Next we have The Night Diary. I thought this book was really good when I first read it in school a long time ago, and then I reread it and I just couldn't get into it. Gorgeous cover, matches my shirt, love that. My poor plant. Next we have a study Bible for students. It's just my Bible. Most of the time I use the Bible app. So my dad wanted me to read Anne Frank again before we went to Germany, which we were supposed to do the quarantine summer, but did not happen. So Anne Frank, I'm gonna move on because I'll get sad talking about it. Next we have Watership Down. This used to be a library book. They'll take library books out and get rid of them if they're in bad quality. Not like falling apart quality, but this one's not doing so great. If they're no longer acceptable to be in libraries anymore. So I got this from that. Next we have Educated. Such a good book. There's so many interviews out there about it, so I would suggest going and watching some of those because they can explain it better. This is my planner. This is where I plan out all of my content. So I just write what videos are coming out on which days. There you go. We have Orange Journal, Hamilton. I went through a Hamilton phase, still there. Alexander Hamilton. Someone might say that I'm intense or wrong saying, you want a revolution, I want a revelation. Anyway, that was from the Schuyler sisters. I read this because of Hamilton, because this is what he based Hamilton off of. Again, from old library things. And then we have the actual Hamilton lyric book. Last row. This is my pride and joy. Gone with the Wind, a vintage copy with a dust cover. I went through a Gone with the Wind phase. Like, I was obsessed with Scarlett O'Hara because my grandmother told me I looked like her. So I became obsessed with her. I watched the film actually in theaters because they were doing reruns. Next we have If I Never Met You. Next we have this beautiful little copy of Heidi. This is the sequel to Where Devil Wears Prada. That is my all-time favorite movie. I love that movie. I've watched it so many times. Okay, next we have what I read for Christmas time. It's A Princess for Christmas. Then we have Palace of Mirrors and Palace of Lies. Next we have The 100 Dresses. So then we have The Wind in the Willows. Haven't read this one either. Again, pretty cover. Then I have A Time for Courage. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. Probably should read this. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I've got a lot of energy, so I keep pacing back and forth. Woo! Woo! My grandmother asked me to say she's sorry. It's such a good book. Next we have another Chip Gaines book. Yeah! Capital Gains. Calm Magic of Sleep. Just a bunch of sleep facts. I read this when I couldn't sleep. This is The Christmas Carol. My grandmother gave this to me because The Christmas Carol was one of her favorite books. Next we have, I went to a Dior exhibit before COVID, and they were selling this. And the Little Dictionary of Fashion by Christian Dior. He just goes through each letter and he names different things in fashion. What I'm holding, The Secret Life of Bees. My mom recommended it to me. I read this a long time ago. My Summer of Love and Misfortune. I recommended this book many a time. So next we have The Upside of Falling, that their fake relationship could be the realest thing in their life. And then we have Tweet Cute. So I have this fashion book. And then we have Face Paint, The History of Makeup. These are cookbooks. They are Magnolia Table. That is all for the day. Thank you all so much for watching. That is probably the cringiest thing I've ever done. And I will see you all next Tuesday at 9 a.m.